and welcome to another Scotsway podcast. And today I'm joined by hip hop artist, DJ, music producer, and journalist Sanjeev Mann. Hello, Sanjeev.
Hello, how you doing? You good?
I'm well, thanks. So that introduction only really touches on what you're involved in. Can you tell us more about who you are and what you do?
Yes, so my name's Sanjeev, aka Superman on the beat. And I kind of do a mixture of things across sort of media and music, I guess. But I started off doing journalism. That's kind of how I entered the kind of media sort of angle. So I did a degree in journalism about 4 years ago. 4 years ago when I finished. So since then, I've pretty much just been freelance. Freelance for different papers. BBC Social, the main one. But in the kind of since lockdown, I've kind of been doing more music. So that's kind of when I entered the sort of music scene. So now I would say I kind of do probably more music, but I still do bits of journalism and like content and social media for like Drake Music Scotland and a few other charities. So yeah, that's kind of the roundup, I guess.
Just the rough roundup of all the things that you do. So let's start with your music. You say that you kind of started making it during lockdown, but did you get into it before then? Were you kind of always interested in it?
Yeah, I was always like I always loved music, I guess, as a listener, especially like hip hop. But it's something that I'd always wanted to try, was to try and like make beats or something. But obviously I just never got around to it. But then when it came to lockdown, obviously I had a lot of time on my hands to I needed something, I guess, to just distract me. So that's when I started making beats. And yeah, it kind of happened quite fast from then, because obviously it's only been just about 2 years. So I suppose I kind of realized that they actually sounded pretty good. So that's when like my friends and family were like, they're actually pretty good. Like you should try and get some artists on it. And I was just like, nah, like as you do. Like the typical Scottish mentality is that everything you do is like crap.
Yeah.
So it was that, and then I spoke to a few people, and I spoke to an artist called Kid Robotic.
Right.
I don't know if you've heard of him. He's kind of like a Scottish rapper, but he's been doing it for a solid 10 years. So I spoke to him, and he was like, "Yeah, your beats are actually really good, and I want to use them." So like that, I think that moment is what gave me the boost to be like, you can actually like work with artists here, like, get what I mean? So yeah.
So the practicalities of doing it, if people are listening thinking, well, how could you do that when you're locked down? I take it all the kind of things that you need are on your computer now. It's as easy as, just getting it, accessing the right program.
Exactly. So I started off with Soundtrap. A lot of people probably haven't heard of it, but it's like a really accessible way of starting to making beats. Because the DAW is pretty simple, like it's not too complicated. It's kind of easy to get to grips with. So that's kind of how I started, and yeah, kind of got used to the process, I guess. And then obviously now, like, I just use basically every artist that I've contacted. There's just been like Instagram, or Twitter. So like every collab that I've had has just been like that, pretty much.
And it's over a short space of time, so maybe you can't fully answer this, but how have you found working in Scotland's musical community so far?
Yeah, I found it really, like, they've been so welcoming, especially the hip hop scene. Like everybody's been there to help. Like everybody's wanted to help. They've helped with making beats. They've like put me in contact with other people. So like, yeah, I'm really proud to be part of the Scottish hip hop community, because it really is a place where, like, it doesn't matter who you are, like people will support you, and people, like, if you ask them for help, they will help you out.
Well, see, from the outside, that's how it seems to me. It seems like a really collaborative community, particularly at the moment. A lot of people they're not just collaborating with each other inside the hip hop community, but often, with people outside of it in different genres as well. Is that how you found it?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the way it is, and I think just the general music landscape right now as well, like out with Scottish hip hop is like it's more open and inclusive than it's ever been, especially when it comes to like genre. And I feel like genre isn't really a barrier anymore to cross over into other people's minds or cross over into kind of other people that you might not expect to listen to your music. So like I feel like that's not really a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just like the artists that are kind of, if you think about the artists that are big right now, like Post Malone, for example, like he's not really under. I can't really put a genre on it. Like it's just music. It's just like good music. So like I feel that's the way music's going right
I
now.
think there is a generation of musicians, maybe there always was, but
Mm-hmm.
coming through who absolutely listen to everything. And I think, streaming, rightly so at times, gets a bad reputation for how it certainly rewards artists. But
Yeah,
perhaps a good side of it is music is so accessible as it never was before that,
exactly.
it said nothing to listen to a new Scottish hip hop artist, whereas before you really had to go and search these things out.
Yeah, people always say like this is the worst time for music. Like a lot of people say that, but then like if you think about it, you can listen to anything you can ever think of, like in 3 seconds. Like
Yeah.
you can listen to some remote, I don't know, remote like tribal thing from like Africa. Literally like takes 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's good in terms of that and making people understand like different cultures. I feel like it's helped with that and like people become more like less alien to like different things as well.
Yeah,
So
I think that's right. Kind of more open. I know we've had quite a lot of jazz musicians on the show and on the podcast, and they in particular seem to just soak up all these different things and include them in what they're doing. And they have had, rappers and hip hop musicians working with them as well, and vice versa.
exactly. Yeah.
So, with events such as the recent Pitch One Day Festival happening, which was a huge success, it does seem that the profile of Scottish hip hop is kind of higher than ever before. Would you agree a bit with that?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of been the last, I don't know, I would say kind of the last year or two we're really starting to get that mainstream attention that like it deserves sort of thing. And as artists, like I feel like there's always been artists there that people have known.
Yeah.
But I feel like in terms of out with Scotland, it's coming to that stage where people actually know artists like Scottish rap artists out with Scotland and not just in Scotland. But I think attitudes are changing. I feel like attitudes are changing because I feel like 10 years ago, if you said you were a rapper in Scotland, people would just laugh you off. Whereas now you don't really get that reaction as much. And I feel like it's funny though, because I feel like it would be more accepted in other countries. Like I feel like they accept things first, but people in Scotland are like with our mentality, we kind of put people down as well, and people put themselves down. And I think with hip hop, like it's slightly changing now, where people are like proudly rapping or whatever. So and using their accents, I feel like that's more. Yeah, there's more rappers using their own accents now.
That's really interesting because I think, things like a French hip hop or in a lot of countries, it was quite open that they would rap in their own language or they would do things in their own language, and it wasn't seen as a cringe. But I think you're right. For a while, it was that thing of the Scottish cultural cringe, thinking, "Oh, you can't rap in your own accent," and that's completely changed. I mean, you had folk like Loki and
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Hook and people like that doing it anyway. But there does seem to be, I mean, there's a load of people now from all around the country using, if they're Aberdonian, there's Doric, there's Dundonian, all these things, and just writing some amazing lyrics as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many like from all areas of Scotland, especially special shout out to Aberdeen because like the amount of talent coming from Aberdeen is absolutely crazy at the moment. And yet like it kind of just shows not always just Glasgow, Edinburgh, there's Dundee as well. There's a lot of talent coming through. There's Livingston, where there's like a good 10, 20 good rappers. And now hopefully they'll get more from like the Highlands as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll start seeing more.
Your experience kind of typifies that in that you can do these things from your own room. You know, the ability is there to do that now. And I guess with hip hop, it maybe always was more than other music.
Yeah, I think there's definitely less. Yeah, I feel like there's less barriers for hip hop because you can just like, especially modern hip hop, like you don't really need a band. Like you don't need any of that really. Like you just need your laptop. Pretty much, literally, is all you needed, a laptop and your and internet, and you can be like a producer, which is a bit mad. But
so, how do you collaborate with others? You say you kind of sent your music out there to people that you were interested in, and they were very supportive. How does that work? Does it then become a kind of back and forth, or is it a case of you send the music and then they provide the lyrics?
Yeah, I guess it's been a mixture. Like it's mostly been like I kind of find rappers that I like, and then I just like drop them a message saying that like I would love to work with you and stuff, and then a lot of the time they say like, yeah, send over beats and ask them like what type, and I send them, and then sometimes they like say, I want to use that one, and then because I at the moment I do like collabs more so, like I do sell beats, but I prefer to do collabs, so I'm just like, yeah, look, I want to do a collab, and then it just depends. Like sometimes they send me a verse back like a week later, or sometimes it takes me a while to decide what they want to use and like see how they can what they can write to it and stuff like that. So yeah, but yeah, I just Instagram message them, and then I kind of try to build a relationship. I think that's important to actually build a relationship and actually know a bit more about the person, because then I think that helps with the music aspect as well.
And you know, we're talking about hip hop, but obviously that covers a whole range of kind of styles. And how do you think of your own music, and what influenced it?
Yeah, so I probably make a mixture of like loads of different genres, like across sort of pop, rock, modern hip hop, old school hip hop. But yeah, I'd say my main influence is actually Nirvana and like grunge, old school hip hop, and then kind of like modern hip hop, like Juice WRLD, stuff like that. So like I suppose it's kind of like a big combination of that. But yeah, Nirvana is probably my biggest influence, and a lot of my beats are like guitar driven.
Yeah, I guess they are. I guess now that you've said that, that makes sense. But I wouldn't have jumped to Nirvana having listened to your stuff there. But that's interesting. And is there was a kind of attitude with grunge as well? Is that something that you take on?
Yeah, I think I've always gravitated towards like hip hop and like grunge and like punk and those sort of, because I feel like the attitude from hip hop and punk are sort of similar. And I feel like they grew from similar sort of situations. They were like protest music essentially. So they both grew from the same route and then kind of went their own direction. So I think, yeah, I do like genres like that with that kind of the attitude of like basically it doesn't always need to be. It's hard to explain. Like it doesn't always need to be the best quality of music, if you get what I mean. Like
I know
it's not
exactly what you mean.
like it's just
Yeah, I
the
mean,
attitude, it's the energy and the sort of what it's about as well, rather than
yeah, absolutely. You don't have to be a virtuoso musician.
exactly.
Punk, it was, you know, here's a chord, here's another chord, go and form a band, that kind of thing. And I guess as well, those genres are all quite angry as well. There's a kind of real kind of anger at what's going on at the heart of them.
Yeah, I've always sort of kind of gravitate towards that because even like I always kind of want to see change and try and push change, I guess. And that kind of leads quite nicely into like my kind of disability rights stuff and access and things like that. So I guess it's from that sort of mindset that makes me want to kind of push change, I guess.
Well, let's move on a little bit to that, because you've written quite widely about the need for greater accessibility to venues in particular, small venues in particular. Can you talk a bit about your experiences?
Yeah, so basically, like before I started making beats, I wasn't really part of the local scene. Like I hadn't really went to many small gigs and stuff like that. Like it was all just general gigs. But then when I started making music and I wanted to kind of go to local shows, like local Scotland rap artists and stuff like that at small venues, I just kind of noticed that so many of them aren't accessible at all for a start. And secondly, a lot of them, even if they are accessible, they just like the small things, like for example, disabled toilets are too small. Well, I suppose it's not a small thing; it's quite a big thing because if you can't go to the toilet, then. But I guess it's just because I'm used to it, and then stuff like locks not working, lifts not working, all stuff like that. Really, that happens like so regularly.
Yeah.
And there's a lot obviously that just aren't accessible full stop because they're in basements. And then one other thing that annoyed me is I was Barrowlands. It's not accessible for electric wheelchairs because it's up like a flight of stairs. And that's something that really annoyed me because I feel like a venue of that size and reputation like should have a lift, and they just use the whole it's a listed building excuse.
Right.
Which to me feels like a good like just an excuse like for bigger feels like an excuse for bigger venues. So
It definitely sounds like an excuse for a venue the size of and reputation, as you say, of the Barrowlands.
exactly, like it's just ridiculous that that's allowed to be okay, and that nobody has been like like why have you not got a lift or anything, like why is that just acceptable, which is irritating. And then another thing that just topped it off was last year with the Scottish Music Awards. That was that. I think it was at Barrowlands. I think it might have been. So that really annoyed me because I just felt that a charity like it was a charity organised thing as well. So I just felt like an event of that size, and that they just never thought about it. Like I don't understand how that can happen. So like the Scottish Music Awards was somewhere that wasn't accessible. But like we need to just keep pushing towards it, and I think eventually like that will happen. And I've got a video for like BBC The Social coming out soon, actually, kind of focusing on small independent venues. So
that's interesting because, as I mentioned to you before we started recording, it's a discussion that's happening in other arts as well, in the book world, where people are opening up the fact that accessibility, not just for the audience, but often for the performers or even people that work in venues, is just not as good as it should be.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
And in terms of your journalism, what else have you written about? What other areas have you kind of looked into?
Yeah, so mostly been about that, kind of disability issues, and then kind of raising awareness as well, basically for people to understand that being disabled isn't bad. And I've mentioned that quite a lot of times where like society just been told for long enough and hundreds of years that being disabled is a bad thing, and that it means you're different when realistically it doesn't. It's not like it doesn't need to be a bad thing. Like why does it need to be a bad thing? It just means that you do things differently at the end of the day. So like, yeah.
Have you found attitudes have improved recently or not?
Yeah, I feel like it has. I feel like it's always improving. But then like things happen where it kind of pushes it back. So I think if people keep on the track that they're going on, I think it will always improve. But then like to me, it's like the education needs to change if we want to seriously make a difference. Like for example, in schools and stuff like that, just to kind of normalize it, and also yeah, like keep things mixed as well. Like, because obviously you get things at special schools, which I hate the name,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's like not really a reason for some people to go to a special school, and they could go to mainstream school, and because I went to mainstream school, so I feel like everybody that I grew up with will always just not think twice about it.
Yeah.
And I think education is like a really important thing, and if we teach kind of children at the start that being disabled isn't weird or isn't like different, and
Yeah, like so many things, if you separate people and people see that there's a difference there, then you've got this division, which there really shouldn't be.
no, exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, you mentioned, where can people get your journalism? Where can they find it? You've mentioned BBC Social, and I know there's a few videos on there, but are there other places as well you would send people to?
Yeah, so mostly like through social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I've got like a wee link tree, so people can go in there, and that's got like most of my links to like music, journalism, and also like I do content for a charity, Drake Music Scotland, who are doing really good things at the moment. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No, could you explain a bit more about them? Because I looked just before we started talking and I wasn't sure about it.
Yeah. So Drake Music Scotland is a charity, a music charity for disabled people, and basically they help disabled people become musicians and support disabled artists. So they do like to do courses, and they put on gigs, and they do all sorts of things like that. So they're a really good charity that are really making a difference to so many disabled people. So yeah, I do kind of social media and content stuff for them as well. But yeah.
Well, I'll make sure we have all the links that you've spoken about on the post that accompanies this. So if people want to check things out further, they'll be able to do that.
Perfect.
Here. And going back to the hip hop scene, who is it that you are excited about that's making music today in Scotland? Is there any recommendations you could give us?
Yeah, I can actually. I think there's quite a few that are really enjoying at the moment. One of them is Random Brown Kid, who's really good. And he's performing actually at the show on Sunday, which we'll get to in a minute. Also, trying to think who else.
I'll put you on the spot.
I just need to check my Spotify. Do you know that to give me some ideas?
That's it. You've got a Spotify playlist, don't you, where people can find out a lot of the different artists.
Yeah, you can find a lot of kind of local Scottish artists. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Susan, Susan's new album is one of the best I've heard in a good year or two. Like, it's that good. And I'm not even talking Scottish hip hop. I'm talking just as a whole.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Also, Becky Sakasa, actually, who I saw live with Solar Eye a couple of months ago. Not necessarily hip hop, but she's incredible. I think give it a couple of years, and I think she'll be everywhere. Who else? Yeah, Miles Better and Texture. Actually, I'm really a fan of those two. I don't know if we mentioned it, but I run like Hip Hop Scotland, which is a platform for local hip hop influenced artists. So it's actually been a thing for 10 years, but I kind of took over it about 6 months ago from Jonathan Rimmer. And we do reviews, which we're going to hopefully start getting a bit more regular with. We do the weekly or 2 weekly podcasts, which is every few weeks, just with local artists that I chat to for about an hour and a half, and play some music and stuff like that. And then obviously now we've started doing shows. So the first show was a couple of months ago at the Glad Cafe. So that was a really good venue. It was a bit scary, obviously, running my first ever kind of show, but it ended up really good, and people really enjoyed the kind of community vibe and stuff like that. So then we decided like to keep going. We also managed to get like a monthly residency, so that's like an exclusive actually. I've not really posted about that yet.
Excellent.
But we'll be announcing that officially soon. So that's every third Sunday pretty much. At Nice and Sleazy, so they had good things about the show and kind of approached me, so that's good.
Is there anything else about Hip Hop Scotland you want to tell us as well? Because we should have spoken about that earlier.
Yeah, so yeah, just like I suppose follow the page and stuff like that on Instagram, and you can find out about a lot of kind of local hip hop artists, and then also kind of listen to the podcast where I interview. It's more of a chat. It's not really much of an interview. It's just like a chat about kind of their come up and their influences and their thoughts on the scene as a whole and other things as well. So yeah, definitely check it out. It's a really fun podcast to do as well because we just chat and have a laugh. So yeah, it's definitely worth a listen.
And I think people will be surprised at how many local hip hop artists there are that they will just not be aware of. So it's a great place to find that out.
Exactly. Exactly. I think most people that aren't really in the scene don't really know about the scene, I've noticed. So like a lot of people maybe know one or two. But people don't know there's literally like hundreds of Scottish rappers that do all different styles, like everything you can think of. So there's definitely something there for everyone. And I think slowly people are realizing that there's a lot of different different types of artists in Scotland that isn't just indie rock.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we need to move away from because like Scotland has changed. Like Scotland isn't what it used to be. It's more multicultural than it's ever been. So
Yeah.
it's time we try to promote other things instead of indie rock.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's getting closer.
Absolutely. I think there's more variety of not just the types of music, but really good examples of it. You know, I mean, the top quality examples of all sorts of genres going on.
Yeah, exactly. Everything, literally everything is covered. Yeah, this guy's doing all sorts.
Well, Sanjeev, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it. And I've really enjoyed it as well.
Me too. It's been fun to chat and good to actually meet you as well. Well, sort of meet you in person.
Be nice to see you in person, absolutely.
Yeah, we need to catch up at some point, or you need to come to the show at some point as well.
That sounds good, yeah. And we'll be back soon with someone completely different.